Oh, hey folks, didn't see you there. Mostly because this is a YouTube video, which is a non-interactive medium. Now, we've covered a lot of gaming news over the past year, ranging from announcements worth celebrating to headlines worth raging over. In this video, we'll be counting down the top 10 gaming news stories that we've covered throughout 2019. And my picks here will be based on the importance of the story, as well as how relevant I feel it is to our particular interests on this channel. So let's dive right in, starting with number 10, EA's surprise mechanics. Now, we've covered the war on loot boxes for a couple of years now on this channel, and there's been no story on this topic more ridiculous than when EA tried to rebrand its loot boxes as surprise mechanics. While addressing a UK parliamentary committee, EA's Vice President of Legal and Government Affairs, Kerry Hopkins, insisted that EA does not use loot boxes, but rather surprise mechanics, which she then went on to refer to as quite ethical and quite fun. Kerry Hopkins' use of euphemistic language no doubt sent George Carlin spinning in his grave, but thankfully at least one member of parliament, Brandon O'Hara, seemed to be having none of it.
Do you consider loot boxes to be an ethical feature of your games?
Well, first, we don't call them loot boxes. I think that was...
Whatever term you wish to apply to them, do you consider them ethical?
So what we look at as surprise mechanics.
Now, as with all government matters, the war on loot boxes will not come to an end anytime soon, as the government seeks to attempt to regulate this new market, while big corporations seek to cling desperately to their desire to sell gambling to children. On to number 9, The Witcher. The Witcher Netflix series released in late 2019, and while critics didn't exactly love it, it was very well received by audiences in general. While yes, there are a number of criticisms you can level against the show, and it's far from perfect, it has gained enough popularity to see a resurgence in players coming back to the Witcher 3 game, and rumors suggest that in addition to Season 2 beginning filming in 2020, Season 3 has already been greenlit by Netflix. Now, this is further good news for fans of the Witcher game series. Interest in the Witcher Netflix series will drive interest to the games and potential new games in the series. The Witcher game developer CD Projekt Red came to a new agreement with the original novel's author, which grants CD Projekt Red the rights to make more games. And while a game literally titled The Witcher 4 may be unlikely, any number of spin-offs would be possible. On to number 8, the World of Warcraft Shadowlands expansion. Now, this is of particular interest to us, mostly due to the number of leaks that led up to the reveal. It began a long time ago with a leaked map, and then more leaked details, of course, all coming from the most reputable of sources, 4chan. And perhaps what's most strange about these past leaks is that while they were correct about the title, pretty much everything else about them is wrong. That is, up until a few days before BlizzCon, when the most solid leaks began to hit. We saw this screenshot of previously unseen artwork of Bolvar the Lich King as a print in the Blizzard shop, as well as a promotional image for the Shadowlands. Now, popular games like World of Warcraft are replete with fake leaks, so I always find it interesting to sift back through past leaks and determine which ones were real and which ones were not. On to number 7, the divorce of Bungie from Activision Blizzard. Now, Bungie launched into a 10-year contract with Activision back in 2010, but in early 2019, Bungie announced that they were getting out of their contract early. As part of the negotiations, Bungie managed to retain the rights to the Destiny intellectual property, and this was likely facilitated by the fact that Activision had previously stated that Destiny 2 was underperforming. Rumors existed for a long time of there being bad blood between Bungie and Activision, of Bungie resenting the Activision overlords. So for many employees of Bungie, this presumably was a triumphant celebration of their freedom. This caused a lot of Blizzard fans to raise their hopes that perhaps Blizzard as well can divorce from Activision. However, the key here is that Bungie was under contract with Activision, whereas Blizzard merged with Activision to become Activision Blizzard. On to number 6, Half-Life Alyx. After years and years of seeming to pretend that Half-Life didn't exist, Valve revealed their flagship VR game, Half-Life Alyx, which takes place between the events of Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2. This, of course, will pave the way for a potential Half-Life 3. If this game is successful, then Valve will be eager to make other Half-Life games. And on a bigger scale, this is a huge leap forward for VR gaming. When a company as big as Valve throws their weight at VR with a franchise as big as Half-Life, that lends a tremendous amount of validity and legitimacy to the VR scene and will help take us one step closer to VR being something in everyone's household. We're still a long ways away from this, but Valve tossing their hat in the rink is a huge move. On to number 5, Cyberpunk 2077. Developer CD Projekt Red really knows how to market to their audience and just win over gamers and the internet. At E3 2019, they brought out Keanu Reeves to announce the release date of Cyberpunk 2077 and reveal that he plays a part in the game. Keanu Reeves is an incredibly beloved figure amongst certain internet circles that CD Projekt Red was specifically catering to.
You're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking.
And it's not just some random celebrity appearance. Keanu Reeves is one of the poster childs of the cyberpunk genre in film, having played in multiple cyberpunk-ish movies. Not only that, but just headline after headline continued to arise surrounding Cyberpunk. Things like Cyberpunk will have no pre-order bonus, so that everyone can get access to the same content. These sort of consumer-friendly little snippets that really make gamers become fans of the developer. On to number 4, moving on to some action RPG content. This was a great year for Grim Dawn. They revealed and released Forgotten Gods, their final expansion. And they also launched 2 huge free content updates, the last of which was their largest free content update ever. The game and its expansions are frequently on sale on Steam and GOG, and while it seems that Grim Dawn may now be sailing off into the sunset in its current state, with the devs shifting focus probably onto a new game project, I think the devs can confidently say that Grim Dawn was within the top 3 action RPGs of this generation. On to number 3, this was also a tremendous year for Path of Exile. Early in the year, developer GGG revealed Synthesis, an extremely ambitious league. While many players ultimately weren't immense fans of the content, Synthesis was a league that I loved conceptually and is an excellent example at how GGG continues to attempt to evolve and grow the action RPG genre. Then the next league, Legion, was a more simple and fun league that was very well received by fans, which shows that GGG knows how to deliver easy wins, just knock one out of the park, while also not being afraid to take big risks on big ideas. Then of course we had ExileCon in November, where GGG announced Path of Exile 2, the big bamboozle when we were expecting Path of Exile 4.0, and they managed to reveal a mobile Path of Exile game without making the internet hate them. Perhaps their greatest accomplishment yet. On to number 2, Diablo 4. Now obviously I've been talking about Diablo 4 for years on this channel. I always knew that Diablo 4 was in development. The question was always, when will it be revealed? Well, thanks to a couple of leaks leading up to BlizzCon, it was effectively confirmed that BlizzCon 2019 would see the reveal of Diablo 4, and that's exactly what happened. Nonetheless, the way it was revealed was still a shock to me, a pleasant surprise. Blizzard busted out one of its greatest cinematics ever, and I had no idea that Blizzard could so perfectly capture horror. Blizzard appears to have completely nailed the themes and aesthetic of a dark Diablo game, and the gameplay and mechanics give reason to be hopeful for Diablo 4 as well. But perhaps the greatest sign comes from the developers themselves. They seem to convey an earnest desire to make Diablo 4 a game that Diablo fans will love. And post-BlizzCon saw the ushering in of a new age of communication from the devs to the community, a level of communication unprecedented for the Diablo franchise. Mere days after BlizzCon, Diablo 4 game director Luis Barriga released a blog post acknowledging that they are reading our feedback and will have more communication to share soon. Not long after, lead system designer David Kim released his own blog posts. In it, he shared the thought processes behind different game mechanics and changes that they were making based on player feedback. One thing the Diablo community has wanted for a long time is better communication and the feeling like our voices are heard. And the devs have been doing a fantastic job delivering on those fronts. While Diablo 4's future is far from certain, the team certainly inspires a lot of confidence, and we can look forward to future communications from them. And that takes us to number 1. This was probably the biggest story in gaming this year. The most significant controversy. So big that even people outside of the gaming sphere became aware of it and started to weigh in. We're talking about the Blitzchung Hearthstone controversy. In a post-match interview during an official Blizzard tournament, Hearthstone player Blitzchung stated, quote, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our age." Now, this was a message of support for the ongoing Hong Kong protests, which, to oversimplify, is a pro-democracy movement seeking to maintain Hong Kong's autonomy from mainland China. Blizzard was then quick to act, first by deleting the VOD of the interview from the Twitch channel, and then by swiftly delivering down a ruling. Blitzchung would be removed from Grandmasters, stripped of his prize money, and banned for participating in tournaments for 1 year. Furthermore, the 2 casters that gave Blitzchung an opportunity to speak his message were also fired. Blitzchung was found to specifically be in violation of the current rule. Quote, "Engaging in any act that, in Blizzard's sole discretion, brings you into public disrepute, offends a portion or group of the public, or otherwise damages Blizzard's image, will result in removal from Grandmasters and reduction of the player's prize total to $0 in addition to other remedies which may be provided for under the handbook and Blizzard's website terms." As a result of this, the internet exploded in rage. This was the single largest controversy in Blizzard Entertainment's history. The public perception was that Blizzard was bowing to Chinese money over supporting democracy. And never before had I seen so many voices screaming to boycott Blizzard, and politicians even weighed in to urge Blizzard to not bow to Chinese censorship. Fans turned Overwatch's Chinese hero Mei into a symbol of protest, and Blizzard employees themselves staged protests at Blizzard headquarters. This coming in a year where Activision Blizzard laid off 800 employees while reporting record revenue. Now, 5 days after the incident, Blizzard President J. Allen Brack issued a statement. Blitzchung's winnings would be reinstated. His ban would be reduced to 6 months from a year, and the caster's firing would become only a 6-month ban. Ironically, this entire controversy served to publicize the Hong Kong protests to a Western audience in a way that would have otherwise been impossible. But the real tragedy here is that the protests are ongoing. No resolution has yet been achieved. And throughout this, Hong Kong has been dipping deeper into a economic recession. Crime rates have been increasing, and reports of police brutality have been on the rise as well. Now, I hate to end the video on that somber note, so here's to hoping that 2020 will be a fantastic year all around. Hopefully we can all have a blast diving into Cyberpunk 2077 when it releases in April, rather than watch society dive into a dystopian cyberpunk future. And that's gonna wrap up this video, but do leave a comment with your thoughts. What were your highlights of 2019? Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you see on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider pledging on YouTube or Patreon and unlocking behind-the-scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it, check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Rikers Raiders for more gaming content.